Hello, welcome to SPDM TV. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I watch a lot of TV. We talk about various TV topics, reviews, and general appreciation of TV past and new. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Serialized at MLHilty2452 to see what all I'm watching. This week, I want to talk about last week's South Park episode. I admittedly have not watched South Park for a very, very long time. I would still consider myself a fan of South Park. I think they've had a bit of a resurgence over the last couple of months, or not couple of months. They've had a bit of a resurgence the last couple of years because some of their specials are genuinely hilarious. And it just reminds me of the South Park of old, but also it's adapting to this new era that we're in around the world. And between the specials on CBS and the reruns on HBO Max, and I guess the new episodes that are coming out, South Park has been no stranger to controversy. I remember the fiasco with the 200th episode of South Park, where they wanted to show a depiction of Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, which is forbidden in the Islamic faith. And because of threats and because of various other issues that they were having, they Paramount encouraged them to censor the image. Which, at the end of the day, if it's a safety thing, I get the potential of freedom of speech or freedom of expression, along with just the possibility of further censorship down the road. I understand where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, it's a safety issue. So what they did ultimately was for the best. In addition to that, South Park also has had its fair share of detractors, of individuals who have slammed the show for being racist. Famously Isaac Hayes, who had played Chef for a long time. The last straw for him was when they made fun of Scientology, and he was like, "Okay, I'm done. I can't be part of this show anymore." And they unfortunately had to kill off Chef as a character. So it comes as no surprise that amidst all of these issues that have been coming up with Paramount and this Skydance merger, and particularly all the issues that Paramount is having with the Trump administration right now, where they're talking about the 60 Minutes media censorship, and they're talking about how Paramount, in order for the Trump administration and just the federal government to push through this merger with Skydance, that they have to make concessions, and they have to agree to bias training, and they have to agree to, and they canceled the Colbert Report, not the Colbert Report, but the late night show with Stephen Colbert. And then there's South Park. So just before this episode aired, South Park signed a $1.5 billion deal with Paramount to continue running the show through Paramount and Paramount Plus. And fortunately for Paramount, they thought that they were in the clear in terms of, we signed the deal, everything's all good. But last week's episode of South Park kind of showcases why South Park is among one of the greatest cartoons, just one of the greatest TV shows ever, because not very many shows could whip together an episode based on current events that are happening as we speak and put together a show that is just so biting with satire towards so many different things. So, among the things that got blasted in that episode, President Trump got the brunt of the of everything, depicting him, having sex with Satan, kind of similar to how Saddam Hussein in the South Park movie has sex with Satan. And obviously, the parallels there is comparing him to a dictator. In addition to that, he also talks about the South Park guys. They also talk about how Trump, is just going to sue them for billions of dollars, and how the town of South Park, unfortunately, just is going to be wiped off the face of the planet because Trump is looking to sue them. They also talked about how there's religion in schools now, and there's no separation of church and state. And I think they saved their biggest punches for Paramount as a whole. So there's their parent company that has housed them for a long time, and they just ripped them to shreds. So on one end, this was a very bold and risky move for South Park to do. No stranger to controversy, no stranger to, to risky decisions. I give the South Park guys a lot of credit for doing, reconfiguring an episode on the fly so quickly, considering that there were reports that said that none of the original footage from the original pilot episode was in that first episode. And I love the title of that particular episode, Sermon on the Mount, where they're taking Paramount to task and everything like that as well. So I really like that. It's a risky decision, but they're just risky individuals. So it is what it is. But the other thing too is that these guys, just see a situation and they want to make sure that they have their voices heard, and that's something that I can't help but admire. So I enjoyed the episode a lot. It went a little too far sometimes, and quite frankly, but that's what South Park does. They push the boundaries, they push things really far until it reaches a point where it's going to offend a lot of people. And by the sounds of it, it looks like this episode was very offensive to a lot of people, and a lot of people are hailing this as South Park taking a stand for against Paramount, against the Trump administration, different things like that. So I enjoyed the episode a lot. I'm looking forward to more South Park. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with them moving forward. I saw the parts of the Comic Con panel that they had where they quote unquote apologized, saying that we're very sorry for all that. I've heard reports about just lots of people being upset about this and saying how they're deeply offended that South Park doesn't make fun of people equally, which they say that they do, but they also don't at the same time. And my response to people who say that is, then fine, make your own show and get eyeballs on it yourself. Like don't tell people how to make their show. So very curious to see what happens, and I enjoyed the episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else the South Park guys have the rest of this season, which is going to be among probably one of their more controversial seasons. That's going to do it for this episode of SPDM TV. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn and Blue Sky Crew. Check out our website at SPDM. Shout out to High Flyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any needs for marketing, logo, or brand standards, contact them at highflyercreative.com. Check out the other shows on our network. We have a couple of exciting things coming up in the next week or so of some new shows joining the network, so we're really excited about those. Plus, check out the other shows on our network. Really proud of the work that everyone's doing, so I just continue to support them. And finally, if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.